In several industries, firms enter the markets with more than one brand. This is a very usual phenomenon that we call it proliferation. And our basic understanding is that once you have a product and this product is going very well in the market, why would you want to enter another product from the same firm and cause competition between your existing product? Why do firms want to proliferate? What is the reason behind that? One of the reasons is that firms cover more needs. Let's see some examples and then let's try to understand if they will help what is going on. So, you go to the supermarket and you want to buy the simplest thing, like toothpaste. And the same company, Colgate, has different brands. Colgate Whitening, Colgate Total, Fresh Breath, Tartar Control, Sensitive Teeth. And you go to the store and this creates a problem to you when you decide, because you say, sure, I want my teeth to be white, but I also want total protection, and I would love my breath to be fresh, and I also need to have low tartar, and also my teeth are a little bit sensitive. So which one should I buy? So in this case, this creates a problem into how you will decide which one you want. Same with beverages. Coca-Cola company, they come up in the market with Coke, with Sprite, with Fanta, with Coca-Cola Zero here in Europe, Diet Coke in the United States. They have several different brands that they enter the market with. Candy also, the Mars company has Mars, Bounty, Snickers, M&M's, Maltesers, Twix, and probably several others that they even compete with each other, with other companies' brands too, but also with each other. And then even in the technology market, in the mobile, if you go to the Apple store right now that we are filming this course, you will see that the iPhone is not only one. They have the SE, the 6S, the 6S Plus, the 7, and the 7 Plus. Right now in every store of Apple, they have these 5 different phones that you can select one from. And in some cases you might say, oh yes, I would like to have a nice phone, and iPhone 7 is good, but iPhone 6S is cheaper right now and it's not much worse. So when you go to the market, maybe you are determined to buy iPhone 7, but you say, wait a second, I can spend a little less money if I buy 6S, and therefore you buy 6S. So they actually prevent you from buying the higher brand, if the better brand, if this was what you were going to the store for. And we understand that proliferation does have a cost for those firms, and the natural question is, why do they do it? Let's consider Salop's model that we learned before, and let's see what this model has to tell us about the answer to this important question that we're curious to know. Assume that you have the incumbent firms and they face a new entrant. The incumbent firms, however, have already entered, and not only they entered with one product, but they have proliferated with N brands. So they are already N brands into the market. They have taken their spots. They have been scattered around the circle in equal distances. And therefore, this model has already been running, not in period 1, but in period 2 since a lot of time ago. So, brands are already scattered along the circle, and then the price is P of N, meaning how many firms have entered, N firms, and profit is P of N. And sometimes, forgive me for calling the Greek letter pi P. The letter is Greek, so am I. In my country we call it P, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to change the name. So if there is no price involved, the English P letter that we use, I call it P. I think that so far you have already understood me about that. So price is P of N, and then profit is pi of N, capital Pi of N, and we saw that the profit is a decreasing function of N. More firms entering, profits are going down because more competition is going on. So suppose now that there is another new firm, an entrant, a potential entrant that is interested into placing a brand post hoc, after the model has already been working. You come afterwards and you say, oh, you guys already started without me. What if I try to enter to put a brand inside the model right now, after all the other firms have already started competing? So introducing a brand, first of all, implies a sunk cost F, meaning that if you want to enter the game now, you have to still pay a sunk cost F, as we saw in the beginning with the Salop's model. Another very important feature is that existing firms do not want to relocate on the circle in order to accommodate you. Relocation would mean for those other firms that they will have very big costs, either for rebranding or withdrawing the product for good. They don't want to change position. They have their brands. They paid money in order to create those brands right there, and relocating them, rebranding in other words, or withdrawing them will have to face huge costs for that, and you should not expect it. You should not expect that your rivals will be doing this. So the entrant, therefore, must squeeze between two already existing firms. You cannot go in and say, oh guys, scooch so I can also put my brand there. You will have to go and squeeze, wedge between two already existing brands. So this means that this is the initial situation like I showed you here, that we have our localized competition, and then you have the new guy, the new entrant, that will have to squeeze between the two firms like that. Now, let's observe this little graph here, because it shows us some very useful information. First of all, for entry to happen automatically means that the entrant has to struggle for market space. Market space is not free, and once you enter, you have to go into the smaller slot in the market, and therefore you will not have the same market space like the others. So wedging between two existing brands means that your market space will be smaller from the market space that the existing brands already have. This means that for other firms, the distance from their neighbors is 1/n. For you, from both sides, it will be 1/2n, smaller distance from your opponents. Now, I will show you a matrix in which shows the three possible situations that firms can be after the late entry of someone. That is, in general, the others in this firm, the firms that they will be across the circle from where you locate, the ones that they will not be affected from you because competition is local and you will compete locally, you will cause trouble only to the brands that they are next to you, not to all the brands in the circle. Then the others, the firm that will not be affected, they have what they had in the beginning, a distance from others, a market share, in other words, equal to 1/n. Half of the one side, half on the other side. Total 1/n market share. What you will have is 1/2n. Half of 1/2n from one side, half on the other side. The only people that you are causing problem to are the neighbors from where you're entering, because your neighbors will get a market share of 3/4n. And this is because on the one side they have 1/n distance, on the other side where you located they have a distance of 1/2n, and adding these two together will give you 3/4n. So we have a different situation for you, the entrant, a different situation for your neighbors that you are causing problems to, and a different situation for the firms that they are away from the entry and they will not be affected. This, of course, will affect the profits now. The profits for the others will be what it was before, pi of n. The profit for you will be pi of 2n, as if 2N firms have entered because this is the much smaller part of the circle that you enjoy now market space on. And then there are your neighbors that they have P over 2N over 2 and P over N over 2. In other words, we're taking the average between the others and you, and this will give the profit for your neighbors. Recall that in stage 1, P or pi of n star is equal to f. This is the optimal stopping conditions where firms will stop entering. This means that an entry should be aborted, should be not done, should be cancelled if and only if the profit that the entrant will have, pi of 2n, is smaller or equal to f. In this case, they should not enter. This means that the pi of 2n should be smaller or equal than pi of n star, which is the maximum amount of firms. N star is the maximum amount of firms that this industry can accommodate. So this means that I took that from the relationship above it, that since P of n star is equal to f, I can substitute this f with pi of n star. And then because this is a decreasing function, I can take only the argument after I reverse the direction of the inequality. So the entrant will abort if and only if 2 times n is greater or equal than n star. And this means that will abort if n is greater or equal than the maximum amount of firms that can be accommodated divided by 2. This is a very important result. It's a striking result. Why? Because the entrant will abort if n is above n star over 2, means that if the incumbents proliferate even 50% of the total market capacity, just 50%, not take the entire market, just go around to the 50% of what is maximum required, entry is blocked for the new firms. So this is a very effective and efficient blocking method for the entrants. Deterrence method by just proliferating. Therefore, it is important to understand that in order to make others to not enter into your business, again, commitment is necessary. Once you locate somewhere, you by definition have commitment, because you located there, you are not going to relocate. Why you are not going to relocate? Because costs of withdrawal or rebranding are very large. But why are costs of withdrawal or rebranding very high? Don't take my word for it. In the next segment, we are going to have 2 different case studies, and we will see what happened to firms that they tried to rebrand for some reasons, and we had some results that they were actually terrifying for them. Stay with us.